Yes, I mean, you were one of the key bones for identification here is the jugal, which is one of the bones that run
under the eye.
Yeah. And I mean, you invited me to illustrate the diagnostic bones here.
Yeah.
And well, lockdown put pay to a lot of the illustrating, because I'd actually got set up in the museum here to have a hands-on illustrating one of the jugals, and that week lockdown came in, and fortunately your excellent photography we rescued the situation, and I was able to get some copies off the photographs, and in particular I mean the jugal here. Which one is this?
That one.
Yeah.
But you done a brilliant job.
I mean, this is worked up from photographs. So, but what I mean, my approach to illustrating is, I mean, I'm influenced by the most magnificent. These are very early 20th century illustrations. This is a copy of Andrews, 1912, the marine reptiles that are in the British Museum of Natural History. And I mean, these formal illustrations here are absolutely magnificent, and they're lithograph prints for this book. And I mean, you look at the shading on this and you really get a lovely idea of the sculpture of these bones. And then, I mean, earlier than that, and that volume is 1912. Megan, if you'd like to.
Oh, this is the Buckland one. So the drawings in this are a bit more simple, but you still get the idea of what's going on with the specimens. What we do when we describe it, we have all the photos of the specimen in the paper. We actually have to have line drawings with those photographs, because sometimes you can't actually see what's going on in the pictures.
This is a struggle I've had.
It's a struggle. So unless you're stood there with it, and you're like, so when we describe it, we can draw a line and put like, there's a process here, and we can identify all the features from the line drawings, which makes the photographs a lot easier to interpret. But you've done a great job. We normally just use a digital pen, trace over the thing, and then it's very, very simple. But
well, I think I'm probably the last customer for rotary pens. I spend most of my time shaking a pen trying to get the thing to work.
But it's nice to have these really traditional drawings in the paper. It's a really, really nice touch. I'm very grateful.
I mean, well, I must say it's you know, with modern scanning and high resolution scanning. I mean, I thought I'd be out of a job for years and years ago. But I'm amazed that there still is a call for fine line illustrating, really.
It really adds to something. If you see a nice monograph that's got all the pictures that are fine line illustrating, it really makes it stand out. It's nice. And then, I mean, I know that you're a very, very skilled artist, and I mean, we've seen your watercolour illustrations, and they are absolutely stunning. Renderings of these, in an imagined environment 150 odd million years ago. And hopefully once we've got an idea of this animal.
Don't you?
I use watercolour. Once we've got an idea of this animal, we can do a restoration of what it may look like.
Interpretation.
In the season, the Jurassic.
Which leads us actually, while we're talking about watercolour and colour, I mean, one of the questions I think we had here, we know a tiny bit about what these beasties would be like, colour-wise, because of the skin impressions, isn't that right? I think you can
the people have done that, and they've actually got the actual colour from the fossils, like you get the skin still preserved. They managed to extract the actual little melanomes, the little pigments out of them.
That's amazing.
And the one they looked at from Regis was dark on top and light on the bottom, so you think like a dolphin sort of thing. But I expect you had a difference if you had fast, active swimmers, which were the equivalent of dolphins back then. And then you had the bigger ones, which were probably more slower, maybe they were deep diving. And you see in those types of forms that were deep diving, they're uniform colour. They're normally uniform dark grey or black or something like that, because they don't have to worry about being on the surface all the time. So depending on the lifestyle, depends on the colour. You've got the model.
Maybe all this colour.
So you think, they've been dark on top, light on the bottom, and people always, you look at modern animals for inspiration, so you get dolphins, and they're all different colours on the sides. You get the striped dolphin has these nice big stripes on it. And I reckon ichthyosaurs would have been the same sort of, similar colour pattern, dark on top, light on the bottom, but something different going on the sides. And it really helped with camouflage, blending.
So maybe not battleship grey then?
No. You want to be camouflage. If you're swimming on the surface, you want to be light on top, so if something looks up at you, they can't actually see you from underneath. If something's looking down at you, they can't see you from above. So I expect that's how they would have looked in real life. And they would have looked something like a shark cross a dolphin. That's what I like to think. Dolphin at the front and a shark-like tail at the back. They would have swam very, very much like a shark today. Maybe use their forelimbs in the same way that dolphins use theirs, a bit more flexibility in there, using it for turning or something like that. And they obviously have these hind limbs as well, and they might have been with stability or something like that. But we see a reduction in the size of these hind limbs in quite a lot of the ichthyosaurs. So they would have been absolutely tiny on some specimens. We don't have a femur.
We don't have a.
We don't have the whole
back end on this one, do we?
No, we have a femur, which looks like a humerus, like one of these bones, but it's a lot smaller and narrower. So we can get an idea of what the hind limb must have been like.
They're quite tickly, aren't they?
When you put it in proportion with the skull, when you think you've got this skull that's about this big, it would have been. This is the back of the jaw, so you would add another sort of like that much onto the end. And you got actually the forelimbs are really quite small in comparison with the size of the skull on this. Very bizarre animals in that aspect. You think it would all balance up, but actually you're getting these tiny.
It's strange, isn't it?
Forelimbs on something with a metre and a half long skull.
And you're talking about the ribs, and some of them were really quite.
Barrel-like.
Barrel-like, that's right.
With a really sort of, if you looked at it side on.
And maybe looking at this one.
Needs a straight rib. So it would have looked a bit like
diving
this.
at depth.
So you think if you've got ribs all the same size, you're a bit like a dolphin. You're going to be going very, very fast, active swimmer, pursuit predator. If you've got a big tummy, big belly, your ribs are deeper, and you look more like a sperm whale or something like that, a deep diving animal. So I've got theory that you're seeing this in ichthyosaurs, they're convergent on cetaceans in that way, but there's a lot more to go to actually prove that theory is correct. So.
Going on to the way the ichthyosaur sort of lineage develops, when did they come in? Is it the Triassic?
Yeah, they come in the Triassic. I'm not sure when the first ones whereabouts they are, but they come in the Triassic and they're essentially already aquatic. So they already kind of look like ichthyosaurs. They're a bit weirder. They've got a really long, trunky body and bigger forelimbs, and they're just genuinely just bigger than the forms we get in the late Jurassic and Cretaceous. The Triassic things are huge. They are absolutely massive. But we haven't found the ancestor, that transition period, because this would have been a reptile on land, walking around on all fours, and then at some point it decided to go back into the water, and you start get the adaptations of like the reduction of the limbs and sort of what whales and dolphins did. But we haven't got that ancestor yet. So somewhere there is a fossil of the ancestor of ichthyosaurs, which is a halfway point, but we had to find it. So
struts, we've got our lineage, which is going back, is still in debate. And we've got a similar situation with the ichthyosaurs. And they've certainly gone into the Cretaceous, don't they? And then there's a cut-off.
Yeah, so they go into the Cretaceous. There's a big die-off. There's an event called the OE2 event, and that is a big ocean anoxia event. So there are a lot of the oceans were anoxic, there's no oxygen, and it really had a knock-on effect on a lot of marine life and terrestrial life as well. And we see a big die-off in the Ichthyosaurs then. And after that event, there's only sort of one genera that goes through called Platopterygius. That goes through a bit further, and then it dies off shortly after. I think it's after the Cenomanian. In the Cenomanian it goes. But we don't. There's no big event then. We don't know what happens. But I think it's the Turonian. But we think it's because they're being outcompeted by other marine reptiles. So you've got mosasaurs coming in. And they're really dominating the oceans. Yes. So they're literally just getting outcompeted. They're getting pushed out, and they're replaced by mosasaurs.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. I mean, this leads us on to another sort of aspect of this discussion. Really, is we've got this one swimming around in the Kimmeridgian seas 155 million years ago. What other beasties are around at the time and having a nip at this? Behind us we've got some showcases with some, you probably wouldn't find that running around, but we've got some local fossils here. I think this is Plesiosaur. We've got the ammonites, of course, and belemnites. Probably finding the chitinous hooks, as you suggest, in the gut content. Yeah. So they would be eating those, but what would be a predator for this, do you think?
So we had in the Jurassic Ocean, there was one of the top predators was pliosaurs, and these were huge. Yeah. They're essentially just like they look like ichthyosaurs, but their skulls are huge. You're talking 2 metre plus.
Well, I'm thinking now of the University Museum in Oxford. Yeah. You're probably familiar with the
big one
massive
they've got in there. The teeth are about that round.
Yeah.
And that is the apex predator. That could eat whatever it wanted to eat, really. Probably eating a small one of itself.
I mean, to put it into context here, it's the size of the showcase, isn't it? And indeed, they state on the label in the University Museum the entire length of the beast. It would be at the back end of the museum.
Yeah,
colossal things.
That's what was living in the ocean.
It's the marine version of a T-Rex, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah. You wouldn't want to swim.
I mean, the dentition, remember?
Yeah.
That's really colossal.
You would not go scuba diving.
2 sockets, aren't they? Like
and the teeth are sort of this big. Yeah. They're like bananas.
Impressive fossil.
And there was some other plesiosaurs, ones with really, really long necks, and they've got a tiny little head on the end. And they think that they sort of specialise. They would use their really long neck to put their head into a shoal of fish, and then eat the fish, because the fish would be scared of the body behind, but not so much the neck with the small head on. So that's
I mean, we've got an illustration of one of those here. Yeah, it's got a very, very long neck.
There's all different other ichthyosaurs. We have some very small ones called Nanopterygius, and they're only 2 metres max. So like some specimens would actually just be the size of this one's skull. And then I think there's some that even get bigger than this. So it is a huge diversity of stuff. I mean, you have sharks as well, big sharks.
Yes, we have shark's fin spines are the surviving bits of those. We see those in the clay here.
Some in Germany that have been found with their stomachs full of belemnites.
Right.
They're sort of like an ancient form of squid. You've got ammonites that range from tiny little things to big things. Fish as well. There's a huge diversity of fish in the Jurassic seas. So it would have been a really, really impressive time if you went down in a submarine or something. It would have been, you would have seen some really, really cool stuff.
We've seen fish locally. We've got in the Kimmeridgian Lepidotes. We have the big porcelain-like scales, red, black, and
their scales are actually made of enamel. The same stuff as our teeth are made from. And it's the same if you like sort of semi-related like alligator gars. So if you ever find an alligator gar, if you're in the States, you'll find that their scales are made of enamel as well. And some of the Lepidotes, their scales can get like that thick and about that big. So, but you think, well, that's swimming in a sea with these guys, so it has to have like an armour plating. Just as a deterrent, because otherwise they just get eaten. So it's like an arms race. Your fish get more and more bony and armour on, and these things get bigger teeth, and so it's it's a quite an impressive time, I think.
Yeah, I can remember a local collector. He went out to Steve Etches to Kinbridge Bay, and they were only time was out, and they came away with a virtually complete lepidotes, something like that sort of stuff.
There's some incredible stuff to find, especially down in Kinbridge in Dorset.
It's such an innocent little cove, doesn't it, Kinbridge Bay?
But it's full of stuff, and Steve's done an amazing job with this stuff.
Witnessed by Steve Etches and his amazing collection down there.
Yeah.
Extraordinary.
It's well worth a visit if you're ever in the area.
Yeah.